Lesson 7.1, Exponents. In today's lesson, we're going to discuss how we can write and find the value of expressions involving exponents. So let's go ahead and get started. There are many different ways that you may be asked to work with exponents. And so in this video, we're going to review the different ways. The first way is going to be written in a table or having to use information from a table to write your exponent. So let's go ahead and check out this word problem and see what I'm going to be doing. So the table shows the number of bonuses a player can receive in each level of a video game. Use an exponent to write the number of bonuses a player can receive at level D. And so I need to write this information as an exponent, and I'm going to be focused on level D. So I'm going to go to my table and I'm going to highlight level D. I see that in level D, the number 3 is being repeated. This repeated number or factor is called our base number. And so I'm going to write that largely right there. I'm then going to see how many times it's being repeated. So in this case, I see 1, 2, 3, 4. And so this is my exponent right here, the 4. How I would read this is I would say it's the 4th power of 3. So the exponent comes first and then the base number when I'm reading this or saying it out loud. If I have to go ahead and solve this, I would go ahead and use repeated multiplication, which you can see is written out right here. That's exactly what this exponent means. So 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. And what that looks like is you're going to take the first two factors of 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. And then I'm going to go ahead and I want to multiply it by 3. This gives me 27. I'm then going to multiply 27 by 3. And so we're going to do the math off to the side since this is not a basic fact. 3 times 7 is 21. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 2 is 8. And so my answer would be 81. So if I was looking to evaluate this exponent, I would say the 4th power of 3 is equal to 81. Let's look at a different way that I have to solve this. In this part, you might have an expression, and this expression would be 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 times 7. So I want to take this expression and I want to condense it into an exponent. And so again, I see that 7 is being repeated, so I know that's my base number. And then I need to see how many times is 7 being repeated. Well, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so in this case, I have the 5th power of 7. If I need to evaluate or solve this exponent, I would use repeated multiplication again to solve this. And so I'm going to go ahead and write this a little bit larger here. And you are going to start with your first two facts. So in this case, 7 times 7 is 49. Then I would have to keep going, times 7. And this is where you're going to have to show your work and kind of do this math off to the side. Okay, so off to the side, 49 times 7. 7 times 9 is 63. 7 times 4 is 28. Plus 6 is 34. Then I'm going to write this so I know that this is equivalent to this, so 343. I'm now going to bring down this 7, and I'm going to have to multiply that. So 343 times 7. 7 times 3 is 21. 7 times 4 is 28, plus 2 is 30. 7 times 3 is 21, plus 3 is 24. And so this now equals 2,000 401. And I see I have one more 7 left, so I have to go ahead and multiply this by 7. So let's rewrite this over here so I have some space. 7 times 1 is 7, 7 times 0 is 0, 7 times 4 is 28, 7 times 2 is 14, plus 2 equals 16. And so I see that my final answer of the fifth power of 7 is going to be equivalent to 16,807. Okay, this type of problem, they've already given you the exponent, which is a base number of 10. My exponent is 3. So I'm looking for the third power of 10. I would go ahead and set this up with repeated multiplication. So 10 times 10 times 10. And if I want to find the value, that means I need to solve. Well, 10 times 10 is 100. Times 10 is going to go ahead and give me 1,000. So my answer would be 1,000. In this particular type of problem, they're giving you the answer. So they want me to write 81 as an exponent. And it's telling me that I'm going to be using 3 as the base number. And so what this looks like is exactly what you see below. You're going to use 3 as your base number, and I have to find a starting point. So I'm going to start with 2 because 3 with an exponent of 1 is going to be just 3. So in this case, the second power of 3, well, 3 times 3 is equivalent to 9. So obviously that does not equal 81. So now I would write it as 3 times 3 times 3, which I know is equivalent to 27. So that can't be the answer. So I'm going to try the next exponent number, 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which we know in our previous question is equal to 81. And so if I want to write 81 as an exponent, my answer would be 3 as my base number, 4 is my exponent, so it's the fourth power of 3. All right, finally, we have our practice problem here. They are giving us our exponent already written, so I have to write the fourth power of 2, and I want to use repeated multiplication. I need to find the value. So let's go ahead and get started with that. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Times 2 is 8. Times 2 equals 16. And so the value would be 16. All right, last step. What we're going to do is open up our math notebook and copy down the notes on exponents. Once you have the definition of exponents and labeling each part of the exponent, continue to hit play. All right, so we've already pointed out our base number, we've already pointed out our exponent, and then what we want to do is write the written example. So using that repeated multiplication, this is what that exponent would look like. If I'm asking for an exponent form or exponential form, this is what your number would look like. And then finally, this is how I actually write it, or I would say it, the fourth power of 10. Once you have these examples copied down, continue to hit play. All right, lastly, it's actually considered a practice problem. We're going to use the one that we just used in the previous slide. So I have the fourth power of 2. And so step 1 is I'm solving this, or I have to evaluate this, or find the value, is I'm going to use repeated multiplication. And so I'm going to copy down 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. and I'm doing it 4 times because that's what my exponent says. Once you have this copied down, continue to hit play. Okay, finally, our last step is we just have to multiply in order to find this answer. And so 2 times 2 equals 4. Bring down the next 2. 4 times 2 is 8. And then finally bring down the last 2. 8 times 2 equals 16. And so my answer would be 16. All right, our test prep question for today, you're going to copy this down and you're going to then set up your answer and solve. Once you have this completed, continue to hit play. All right, lastly, our essential question. How do you write and find the value of expressions involving exponents? We discuss various different methods, or various methods, I should say, on how to approach this and different types of questions you'll find. In your own words, I want you to summarize how you would approach this type of problem. I look forward to discussing this with you in groups.